I'm excited about the challenges that are in front of us, the opportunities that we have as a football team. We've had a great summer. We've made tremendous progress. Um, and I think we've got really a completely different team. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but 35% of the players that are reporting for training camp today are new. So that I think we've done a great job as a staff of really overhauling the roster, and I'm excited to watch these guys work throughout training camp. It's important for our players to understand a couple things. I think everyone is consumed with the result, and few are willing to do what it takes to get it done. I think the key to the drill here for our players is going to be to focus and sustain throughout training camp. We need to be really intentional with our decisions, and we need to take daily action. You're either growing or regressing, whether that's you as a sports reporter or one of our coaches or one of our players. You've heard it your whole life. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And I think it's important for our players to realize that. And hey, let's be honest here. We're free to do what we want, but we're not free to do what we want and still grow and make improvement at the same time. This football team, there's lots of unknowns, but one thing about it, we've got great competition. And I think it's critical that everybody in the organization takes an attitude that they can be the difference in us having success. They can make an impact in terms of what we're trying to do as a football team, whether that's a player, a coach, or a support staff member. We do have a couple injury reports here before we get started. You guys know about several of these guys, but Joe Dillon, Stevie Artigue, Chase Rogers, Terrence Jones, Jake Arsenault, and Bam Jackson are not with us for training camp. They're not in the 110. They will be here. They will be participating in treatment in some of the activities. But due to injuries, Bam is the most recent injury. Bam had a toe injury this summer, which is going to require a little bit of time for his recovery. And that window is outside of the class beginning. So I think that we've got a good plan in place. We will have some guys that will be modified throughout practice. Staten Wade will be modified. Elijah Mitchell will be modified a little bit. Raheem Malone will be modified. But we anticipate all three of those guys, being full speed and being prepared to play when that time comes. I think it's critical that we realize the outcome of this football team is going to be up to the players that are going to be in that room at 1:30. We've got to take that approach. We've got to control the controllables, really zero in on the intangibles relative to playing winning football. And if we get that done, we've got a chance to have a good football team. The leadership on this football team has really grown, and I'm excited to kind of see how we deal with the adversity that goes with training camp, and certainly the adversity that goes with playing the season. So it's that time of the year. Now's the time. It's time to go earn it, and we're excited about it. So with that, we'll take some questions.
You talked about 35% new. That means 65% are returnees. What's the biggest difference you see in those guys from January right now?
Well, I think we're in better condition. I think we have made progress in terms of the chemistry, the unity, the togetherness that you really associate with playing championship football. But for the most part, they've bought into our way of doing things. I think we've seen very little resistance, which is really, if you look at the staff that we've been able to put together, I think that tells you a lot about, the progress that we've been able to make.
Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned leadership. Who are some of the guys that have stepped up throughout the spring and now heading into camp that maybe you're kind of surprised by, or just guys that just kind of rose to the occasion, so to speak?
Well, we took Robert Hunt and Corey Turner with us to Media Day. Both those guys have really set the standard. I think that both quarterbacks have been exceptional in terms of their ability to really exemplify everything we want the organization to be about. I think you're going to talk to some guys today that I really believe in terms of the work that they've put into our team. Kevin Dotson, Deuce Wallace, Jacques Boudreau. I think Jamarcus Bradley's had a great summer, and I think that Zion Hill is a guy who really has come alive, and you're going to get a chance to see him play more this year.
Being hurt, what's that big in the slot this early on?
Well, we'll make some adjustments. We've got quality depth outside, and I think with getting Raheem back healthy, I think with Keenan, making progress, we've got plenty of options there, and I think that's one of the positions where we can move people around and make a quick transition. You got to remember that we moved Mike Jacquet, in the springs because of the strength that we had there. So Jalen Williams, obviously, his value really, he's a guy who's going to really have to step up and make a contribution. But Jamarcus, Keenan, Raheem, Ernest, and then after that, there's a lot of competition going on.
And like you said, with the bigger guys in the slot, though, might Malone go back there?
Well,
Possibly?
yeah, we're going to get the best three out there, but truth be known, that's how we'll make the decision, not necessarily based off of, what we ask that guy to do. So whoever earns that playing time will get the opportunity to go out there and represent the team.
You mentioned Jacquet.
I think it's going to be game specific, but I do think that in every game the guy can play both ways. He's pretty electric with the ball. He proved in the spring, in the short time, a couple of scrimmages, he was primarily a defensive player. We would move him over. But I think it's all game specific, and it may have a lot to do with the healthy group we have at receiver. So this certainly makes you think that you might play him a little bit more.
Do you see a NFL cornerback there like Chris Roberts does?
Yeah, I do. I practiced against several NFL corners in my time, and I think he has the tools. He's 6'1" and change. He's 195 pounds, and he's got length. He's got great speed, and I think he's very instinctive. And he's got, he's a quarterback in his background. So I think he's a guy who really could make that transition. 2 years to play. Certainly got time to develop there.
What about Dion Ray? In the past, he's just been used exclusively as a wildcat quarterback, and that's all he's done.
Right.
What are you and your staff, what are your kind of plans with Dion during fall camp? Is it to keep him in that position or possibly move him around somewhere else?
Well, Dion will be in competition for the third quarterback spot with Wesley and Quentin. So, right now, that's one of the more important questions that we've got to answer. So, who's going to be the third quarterback? He's in that mix.
Do you believe he has the skills to play, to be able to throw and trust him?
Well, I think if he played, we'd have to adapt, what we do. So and that's part of the area. That's the areas where he needs to make improvement.
What's the goal for the first week of camp?
Really, it's about establishing our formula to go play championship caliber football. I think we want to own the football. We want to attack the football. I think there's nothing more important than possession of the ball. We really want to create that culture in how we practice. As we introduce situational football to our team, we want to become situation experts. We really want to teach football at a high level and make sure our guys are comfortable. We want to create a master your craft approach in terms of the fundamentals and techniques that we're getting taught at each position throughout our team. And then we want to kind of deploy a scheme and a mindset of being really aggressive to try to overwhelm the other team. And that is all three phases working together. And then we're going to zero in on playing with legendary finish and really trying to finish plays the right way and create habits to do that once the game gets here. So really establishing that formula that we want to play with is critical here in the first 5 days.
Talking about that formula, what are some of the biggest changes you had to make, and how do you get the players to buy in?
Well, I think we really we haven't had a ton of resistance, truth be known. I think we've got a very qualified staff that has the character and integrity to earn the trust and respect of the players pretty quickly. I think they see that the staff has a sincere interest in them having success as a person, as a student, and the football player kind of comes third there. And they're competent at their position. The things that they're teaching, they're very knowledgeable, and they're able to make them. The player can see this guy can make me better. Really, that's all the player cares about. And because of that, I think we haven't had issues trying to get them to buy in. You're always going to have that 5% that doesn't want to do what's necessary. But overall, we're moving right along, right to the next phase. I'm excited about where we're at.
What's the
Talk
method
about-
behind players and coaches knowing each other's names, where they come from? Is that all part of it?
Well, it's all about one of our core values is together. You know, we're really trying to establish an appreciation for everyone's role. You know, whether you're the starting quarterback or you're a scout team defensive lineman that, you know, may never play in the game this year. You know, you're the injured kicker that is not able to participate. We want to create a culture where everyone is together and we try to go be the difference and make an impact in terms of what we're trying to do as a football team.
You talk about staff. You have numbers of staff that maybe haven't been around in the past. Was that a priority coming in, and what does that enable you to do?
Well, it absolutely was a priority coming in, and really was part of the agreement in taking the job. And I think that's just my familiarity with having success doing it a certain way. You know, we want to operate a certain way. We want to have a plan in place, our year-round plan for development, and we also want to have a quality of life for our full-time employees and our support staff members. So I think I've seen several benefits to having these type of positions, but it's really about, you know, that year-round plan and making sure that we maximize our time and we can have a decent life outside of football. You know, we can do a good job at home, and I benefited from that as a coach, and I wanted to have that in place here. And I think our leadership in the administration has done a great job of doing that in a cost-effective fashion that allows us to operate like we want to. And we can implement kind of that approach, and I think that I've seen it have success in the past.
Time for two more questions, please.
Well, speaking of injured kicker, I'll work three into this one question. Speaking of injured kicker, how is that battle shaping up, especially with the guy from Oklahoma? Coach Roberts talked about McCaskill being an impact guy. What is it about his mentality maybe that allows him to be that? And then if you could touch on Kendall Johnson and having somebody who has a whole bunch of starts under his belt,
Right.
how helpful that can be.
Well, first of all, we're going to have competition at kicker. Heck, it's just as critical. You know, it's in the same conversation as quarterback, in my opinion, just in terms of the ability to impact the game. So we got great competition there. Certainly, Calvin Linden was a guy who had a great spring. He's had a great summer. He's got a good look in his eye, and then we went and added players to the roster to create competition and try to improve our team. So Kyle's a guy who has been exposed to winning football and understands, what it takes. And then the Almendaris kid that's a high school player has talent, and he's going to be in the competition as well. You talked about McCaskill. I think McCaskill is really he's got tremendous speed. He's got a great mindset in terms of the physicality that he plays with, his effort, his overall approach. He's locked in right now, and he's ready to go. So I think anytime you can have speed, a physical mindset, you're going to be a good special teams player. And then talked about KJ. KJ really gave us some stability in the winter because corner was a position of concern. So bringing a guy not only that has experience but also a local player, I think he's comfortable and obviously he's confident in the things that he's done in the past. So he looks much better. He's in much better condition, and I think he's got great instincts, and I'm excited to watch him over the next month.
The impact of the new redshirt rule and how you plan to implement and take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit overrated. You know, I think it's going to be more of it's going to have more of an impact at the end of the year, in my opinion, as you kind of look at where you're at. But you got to take a week-to-week approach. You know, you got to put the best team out there you can to win that game. We only play so many games, so we're going to play the best players each week. And if we have to take a red shirt off of a guy, we're going to do that. But certainly that dynamic changes each week throughout the season. Certainly we get to the end of the year and we haven't played a guy. We may make an attempt to find a role for the guy to get him out there. So, but ultimately, playing time is earned, and guys have to show the maturity to sustain. They got to retain information, and they got to prove that they can do their job and do it well. And that's what training camp's about. It's time to earn it.
In your perfect world, when do you name a quarterback?
As soon as the reps become critical, that's what it's all about. Once you start putting a plan together, and obviously as we approach the first game, that's when it becomes critical. But all that being said, if we don't have a clear-cut guy at that point, it's not beyond us to play two guys. It's been done in the past at the places I've been. We're using the same blueprint we used, going back 7-8 years ago. So we got a good plan. We'll execute that plan. We'll have a good quarterback when it's all said and done.
We have time for one more.
What do you need to see from Andre and Levi to kind of narrow it down to one guy?
Well, we want a guy who really affects the other players in terms of his ability to raise the level of play. The other 10 play better because he's out there. And certainly, all the things that are associated with winning quarterback play, accuracy, a great communicator, a guy that is very productive. I mean, ultimately, you got to take your group and put them in the end zone. Certainly, they're both very capable. Good thing that we have here is we have two guys that can play and two guys that have proven to be good leaders. They've got great understanding and knowledge of our system. And if I had to play either one of them tomorrow, I'd sleep great tonight. So I'm pleased with both guys. It's going to be one heck of a battle.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.